Welcome to another episode of War Hero to Superhero, helping military, veterans, and first responders transform their lives from the bedroom to the boardroom. I am one of your hosts, Daniel Faust, and we got an exciting guest for our last day in the Superhero Battle Room. Too many buttons to go over and press, so this week needs to be done, right? So I want to introduce you to Miss. She is a fellow Marine, and she transformed her life, and she wants to share her transformational story with you guys. So if you're not watching right now, jump on right now because it's going to be exciting. So I'm going to bring her to the stage. So, Miss, do I have you?
Yep, here I am.
All right, awesome. So want to thank you for joining me, especially on your different time zones and whatnot. I know it can get confusing and whatnot. I know for me, I've been time jagged all week. So want to jump straight into your war hero story. Like, how long were you in the service and what happened to you?
All right. First of all, I wanted to thank you for having me on your program. So I was in the Marine Corps from 88 to 92. I was an aircraft mechanic back when there weren't many females in the Marine Corps. At the time, I think there was maybe like 3% of females. And then of that, it was a much smaller proportion that was actually doing like aviation. So I did my 4 years honorable when I got out. As the case with a lot of the military, my experience didn't immediately translate to a civilian license. So I kind of went back to what I did before the Marine Corps, and I went into high tech. So I started trying to work towards that, and I got some jobs. Things had changed a lot since I got in the Marine Corps. And one of the things that happened is I got married, I got divorced, I have a single mom of 2 kids, and it was tough. Like getting out of the Marine Corps was really hard. It was a very it was a difficult transition, I think, going from a 24/7 military life to all of a sudden being a civilian and not really knowing what to do. And so, I just picked up what I knew, right? And tried to make it. But soon I found myself homeless. I was working, but then lost a job, and within a few weeks, I was driving around in the streets with my 2 little kids who were 3 and 4 at the same time.
Oh, wow. That's like huge.
Yeah. So, yeah, that was difficult. It was a very difficult time, but, it kind of leads me into one of the reasons why I wanted to be on your program, because I wanted to give awareness to some of the things that women go through. Right now, they're like the fastest growing segment of homeless veterans. I think, I don't know why that is, other than maybe there's more women in the military than there was when I was in. But, one of the things that I'm doing, as we spoke before, is trying to bring awareness to some of the issues that women veterans deal with. I know all veterans sort of go through that transition that we talked about. Going from active duty to civilian, like in a second, right? There isn't like a smooth transition. It's like one day you wake up and you're, waiting for your DD-214.
Yeah.
Right? So yeah, I think one of the things that I was inspired to do is try out for Ms. Veteran America. And the big reason for that is because they actually created that to raise awareness and raise money for Final Salute, which is an organization that helps homeless women veterans.
That's really awesome. So I want to dive in just a little thing. Like, how did you actually get out? Because you just went from out of service to then, married, divorced, and now you have kids living in a car. And what got you out to where you're at now? Because that's a huge transformation. Just looking at the house from a visual, because my house is a bulletin board in a sense. How did you go over and get that out and lift yourself up?
It was a journey for sure. I was fortunate in that I did find a shelter that would take my kids and I. the upside was that we were off the streets. The downside was that the shelter wasn't very well supported.
Yeah.
So we were always running out of food, always. And there was just times when, I would just prioritize my kids, of course, to make sure they ate. And then I just learned, I think that part of that military life kicked in, because active duty, at least as a Marine, you're out in the field, like especially like during boot camp or whatever. I mean, it's just like things can be unpredictable, and so you just make it work. I finally it was like a series of little breaks that I got as far as like, I kept going, right, as much as I could. And after about a month of being in the shelter, I just kept working. I was like, I would take anything, right? I was delivering auto parts. I mean, it didn't matter until I finally worked myself into a good job and pulled myself out of it and went from doing that to being a web designer and then a web editor. And so, yeah, I kind of worked my way back, went back to school, started working on my bachelor's degree. And yeah, I mean, a lot has transpired between those two times, but I wish I'd had something like resources for female veterans. And I hope that it's done better now when veterans leave the service. But I know when I left, I don't remember a lot of talk about what I had available as far as like benefits or, like, I don't know. I thought the VA was like, I don't know. I just didn't think it was for me. Right. And, I'm learning now that it would have been great to have some contacts back then or somebody to get some help from.
No, that makes sense. And even with 2020, and I got out of active duty 2012, and I've been a reservist. If it wasn't because of those connections, and even though we're still working on those things, it really helps in that particular regard.
Yeah, I think in a lot of ways, like just kind of knowing what to expect when you get out, like job transition or whatever. I mean, not everybody's military MOS. I'd probably say most of it like just doesn't just translate into civilian life, right?
No, it's very few, roughly about 10 or 15%, because I'm in education and training. So it's only about 10 or 15% that actually translate into it. Even like when you do administration or services, which would be like a cook,
right?
You have to have the right wording in your resume to then have that transliterate to get person uplifted. So
right. Yeah, and so much of it, a lot of things that you want to do that actually make decent money require like a certification or a license or something. And you're just in the military is so focused on military, molding with a little bit of, civilian education. And so when you get out, it's hard to kind of transfer that.
yeah, and that's been changing a lot in the comm worlds. They've been adding certificates and they're adding like credentialing, at least on the Air Force side. But it's more about you than this particular interview. So what made you transform to actually start helping out, homeless female veterans? Because, sometimes we get into a moment of chaos and we go through it and we just like, whoo, it's done. And you try to forget it, but you're trying to dive into it. So what made you go over and transform from that war hero to superhero to actually dive into it? Because it's a scary world to go dive back in where you were at in a sense, but you're kind of having to be in and out of it.
Yeah, that's a great question. My grandparents always brought me up we're a patriotic family, but they really impressed community service. My grandfather had veteran services. When he got out, he created some nonprofit veteran organizations for homeless veterans, just veterans that need help, like job assistance and stuff like that. So, I mean, I saw that growing up, and even after I got back on my feet, I've always been committed to volunteering. So I've always volunteered in one capacity or another, whether it's with like I do a lot of like reunions and stuff like that for my unit. worked at homeless shelters, just handing out food or handing out supplies and different things like that. So it's always been in me because it was modeled for me. So I think the hardest part, and I think that's amazing actually that you brought that up, because it was when I went back and sort of started talking about my experience, it was really difficult. Like, and I didn't really realize how hard that would be to sort of bring it back up. Because I think I always sort of compartmentalize that and say, you know what, I just want to help other people. And I've always had the desire to do that. And I always will. But when it comes to me, it's like, oh no, you know, I don't know that I want to talk about it too much, but I'm recognizing that the more I talk about it, the more other people talk about it, and the more it's actually helped other people be able to talk about it. Because I think there's a lot of shame that goes with it. Like, you don't want to like tell people that that's what happened to you.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, I think when you share something like that, that's actually a little bit embarrassing, it makes somebody else, you know, feel better about sharing their story. And I think it's a win-win. Yeah.
It goes over and makes it realize it's a problem and it's out there. And then there's a
Yeah.
potential to healing, because I have a TED talk in a couple weeks and I've almost been homeless, not to the front where you're at, but I have 4 kids and a wife and everything else. And it's scary. And the funny
Yeah.
part is that ladies are typically not supported in that particular regard for women veterans. And you see it all the time. You call 211.org, they'll like help the lady or help the gentleman. Families, difficult. If you're actually a family together, even more difficult. They're like, I had to go get a job. And I said, what if she moves into the shelter? And they're like, oh, well, you can't come in because you would technically be a hazard to, you know, because we don't know who you are, because sometimes, you know, men are chasing after women, you know, those type of scenarios. And we're like, all right. So my wife said, what are you going to do? I said, I'm going to get the job. I'm going to get out of it, you know? So fortunately, we didn't have to go. The money came in just in providential time, but literally days out before the job came up, I'm like, so if I move in here, but if I grab a job, which is military orders, you won't let me come see my wife. It's almost like she's in a prison in a sense, and she can come out to visit me, but I can't come visit her. So it was very interesting.
Yeah, I think a lot of the systems are set up that way too, to not help families. It's really, and I think that's a great need as well, you know, to be able to help families. But yeah, there's just a lot of sort of stereotypes and things like that. A lot of, you know, I had posted something on Facebook to the regard that they're doing a lot better than they did before, but women still don't have all the services that we need at the VA. And I mean, even when I go to the VA, you know, sometimes, you know, even at the VA, if I'm alone, I'm asked if I'm the veteran.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I'm the veteran. Like, why don't, you know what I mean? Like, just things like that, where there's just, the woman is usually never assumed to be the veteran. And so I think that kind of hurts us a little bit, because, you know, you're going in there, at least this is how I feel. I'm going into the VA thinking that, you know, this is where I should be getting services. This is where I should be able to, you know, request something and have them understand my needs, because they're literally Veterans Association, right? This isn't like a random doctor. And then, you know, I've had times I've been heckled on the way in because I'm a female. You know, just like really weird things that happen to women in general, just being part of the system and being a female veteran.
Yeah. And if you don't dress like how, let's say, quote unquote, stereotypical veterans, you know, you're not wearing the Air Force or Army or Marine gear, wear the funny hat. Like, I'm not that type of guy. But if you don't dress the veteran part and you're dressing more the civilian part, it's even more weird to come in. Like, so it's like, it's very interesting in that regard. So I want to go into what you're doing now and how you're helping transform people, because we got this amazing link that people need to go to down at the bottom of the ticker. I'd like you to talk more about that.
Okay, great. So Miss Veteran America, it's a competition. It's not a pageant like Miss America. It's more based on our community service. So how involved are we with veterans? And also, military history, different things like that, how we would represent the organization. The final salute is the link. I'm raising money for the final salute for several reasons. One, because I needed it, right? I actually was someone who could have used it when I actually went through a difficult time. It's a great organization. They have 3 services. One, which is the homeless transitional housing, with on-site management, case management, and a bunch of other things. And then they have SAFE, which is a program to help. Like this is to prevent homelessness, basically. So if you need financial help, temporary financial help, like for your bills and that sort of thing, they're there to help you. And then the last program that they have is called Next Uniform. And that is where they will help you. It's just like what it says, Next Uniform. So like with professional clothing, image consulting, like help you with professional headshots, like for LinkedIn and stuff like that. So it's a really, really great thing. And it's again, it just keeps going on what I do as far as like supporting veteran organizations. This one I like specifically just because, of course, it's close to me, right? It's something I've experienced.
Mm-hmm.
So when does this actually happen, this whole Miss Veterans pageant? When does it actually kick in?
So I just recently found out that I made the top 25 finalists.
Awesome.
Yeah. So, which is pretty amazing because there's just a lot of really amazing women who, there's 25 of us, and of the 25, 3 of us are Marines. The rest of them are Army, Air Force, Coast Guard, Navy.
It's got to be Marines of the few. It's got to be the few in Miss Veterans, right?
No, there's not many of us. What can I say? Yeah, but no, the women are amazing. They're just the things that they've done, and the knowledge that they have, and their military experience. I mean, these are women that served in combat. These are women like me, moms, single. I mean, it's just a huge gamut. So I really am pretty amazed that I made it to the top 25. The final is either September, October. I believe it's October, where September, October, and then they'll choose the winner in October.
Okay, so if you win, is there fundraising for the initial, or is there fundraising for afterwards? Like, how does that work exactly?
Yeah, so I do fundraising now. Part of it is for the competition, and then of course I'm pushing it because I truly believe in it. But then we will continue to fundraise, and then that year I'm basically the spokesperson for Ms. Veteran America. So I'll be out there championing all the current causes with the difficulties. I personally believe women in the military are the most underrepresented in so many ways, because the transition from military, it's just so multifaceted for women, because when you go from being sort of in a male-dominated situation to now you're going home and you're trying to be a mom, right? And that's a completely different dynamic, because you don't want to treat your kids like little recruits, right?
Yeah. There's like a drastic transformation. You have the mom, and if you're married, you got the wife, and then you got the person in role, and you're like, you went from uniform, tied back hair, tons of men, to now you're trying to become all the things that you either were or maybe things you never were and you're becoming.
Right. It's hard because you have to compartmentalize some of the things. And then, because I'm still in the military. And so when I go, again, it's like you have this sort of professionalism persona that you want to put together and make sure that you're being a good leader, right? And then you want to maintain your femininity, right? When you're outside of, when you're at home and on the weekends, and you want to remember what it's like to be a mom, right? Which is not the same.
Yeah, drastically. So that's amazing. And what I wanted to go over and share with our audience and share this with you, and you have no idea this is happening. So I just wanted to go over and do this. So we go over and sell a bunch of t-shirts. We have different branded t-shirts. I'm not wearing one today. We sell one that's like war hero to superhero. We sell one that's learn and live. We have one that's beauty that I thought of for my wife, and it's more of a female shirt. I wish it was female cut, but it's not female cut, but it's female branded and whatnot. And what we want to do is help you fundraise. So we average $8 a t-shirt. We want to give you 75% of that proceeds. So anybody that buys from now until you close out for Miss Veterans, we will give 75%. If anybody buys the beauty shirt specifically, we'll give 100% of the proceeds to you. So everybody, if they want to buy that beauty shirt, $8 out of the 24 you're spending, which is our profit, we're going to give to you. Now, if you win for Miss Veteran for the year, that beauty shirt for that entire year, if it sells, we will give 100% of the profits towards you for that year to help you just have a revenue coming in.
That's amazing. Thank you.
Yeah, that's why we built that t-shirt company, so we can go bless nonprofits or people going over and fundraising in that particular regard. So we normally keep that within the purview. So again, you buy any t-shirt or anything that's on our website, and we'll populate that in the feed at the end. We'll give 75%. If you buy the beauty shirt specifically, ladies, and if guys, you just want to wear it to fun or send it to a nice lady, we'll give 100% because, hey, you can all be beautiful, but that's your choice. If you want to wear it, I just know I can't rock out flowers and a term of beauty. That's just me. But we wanted to go over and gift you that so we can help you get you to that next level.
I love it. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
You're awesome. Thank you.
So the last thing we have for every single superhero is 3 superhero tactics. So I want you to visit back when you got out of the service or a fellow female veteran that you're connecting with. What superhero tactics you would have gave either to yourself or to that female veteran that would have empowered them to either go through the trial or actually maybe even avoid it if possible?
I think one thing I didn't do, I think I could have done better, is reach out to my friends and accept the help. I think being a Marine, I'm like, oh, I'm going to get this. I got it. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to push through it. I think I would say accept the help, share, let people know what's going on, and don't be afraid to ask for help.
That was all 3? Well, you put it on one quick. I was expecting. I'm like, oh, I should put them all together. Right. No, that's okay. Do you have any other?
2 and 3. Yes, use your military background after you ask for help. Use your military experience, whether it's leadership, whether it's whatever it is, use it to your advantage, because I know that's one of the things that got me through it. What would be the third thing? The third thing would be, that's a good one. Let me think. You caught me on that one. Just, I would say, learn from whatever you're going through and take it in the moment. So whatever you're going through isn't just kind of washed over. Like, I know sometimes you don't want to sort of feel the pain. You don't want to go through whatever you're going through, but just do it and you'll be better off for it. Don't waste it.
Yeah, definitely in that regard. That actually helps with, even with PTSD, when I work in mental health, it's systematic desensitization. You got to work through it because you went through it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say that.
Go around it. Right.
I very much appreciate you coming on this show. Very much appreciate you. You've had the most comments ever on any show I've ever had. Woo-hoo! Just so you know. So you win that award. I don't know if I'll give a gift yet. I'll have to think about that one because I'm like, I've had so many people comment on here. I'm like, this really resonated with a lot of people. Michelle Murray came on. Eleanor Young, she's from Australia. She's one of my gaming friends, and she jumped on. I was like, so we got international. She actually came on all the way 14 hours difference. We had Sarah Bonner. She's a real advocate in the Virginia area, good connection to connect with. Sean B. Laurie, he's actually in the veteran suicide space. Michelle Murray, she's a great person to connect with, especially for growing multimedia, and she's in the entertainment industry. So yeah, you've had a lot of people put a lot of comments.
That's awesome.
Yep. And like I said, we can do this every day, just so you guys know. So we look, but definitely we want to support you. So, so again, you see the link on the bottom. Going over and get to that Facebook group again. If you want to go over and contribute, and you're like, you want to contribute another way, you can buy our beauty T-shirt. 100% of the proceeds will go until that closes out. So get us back the exact date so we can continue to promote you. And then 75% of all other T-shirts that we go over and sell, and hoodies and whatnot, actually will go to that. So again, it'll be $6 to $8 a shirt. We'll keep you abreast of that. And if you want Miss Cyla to be elevated to the next level and get on our television show, because again, this is only social media. All you have to do is take 3 seconds of your time. That's it. We want you to listen all 25 minutes and 40 seconds and counting, because the ticker's still going. But if you can't go over and give all that time, we hope you can give at least 3 seconds. So she gets the most views in 3 days, which the ticker starts now until, let's see, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So Monday at 1700, that's when we do the final counts for everybody's 72-hour bundle. Right now, we're at 326 for our first guest on Monday. I'm pretty sure you can blow it out of the water. You already have 11 comments in here. So we just need to take those comments to views and go over and give there. Please go over and share. Please go over and like. And again, this is always a conversation. So I want to thank you again for going over and joining. Do you have any final things to say to our audience before we punch out?
Thank you again for having me. And please feel free to contact me. I love hearing from people, and I've just been amazed at how many people have shared their stories with me. And I take that as a privilege. So thank you again.
That's really awesome. So again, go over, and always it's a conversation, never just a monologue. No point of watching stuff if you're not interacting.